Welcome back to a special bonus episode of the Freelance Success Framework Limited podcast series. We wanted to give you a sneak peek at one student's journey from basic service provider to full-fledged freelance business owner. When Phil joined the Freelance Success Framework, he had a few clients, but he was stuck in the mindset of leaving his freelance career up to chance and hoping he landed clients. Now, he's in control. So, what you're about to hear is how Phil used the trainings, the coaching calls, and all of the rest to transform his freelance dabbling into a freelance business, and how this mindset shift had a massive impact on his career and his bottom line. Enjoy. You are a graphic designer.
Right.
What got you interested in freelancing, excited about freelancing?
To be honest, it wasn't my original plan. I jumped into freelance right away, right out of school. I started my own company, had some moderate success, a couple big wins, produced a couple nationally televised TV commercials, kind of thought I was a hot shot for a split second, and then had one client just refuse to pay and skip town. And I was almost done from that. And I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I'm not ready for this." So I went the corporate, insurance benefits, 401k route. Started off doing like desktop publishing, and then eventually, production artist and graphic designer, and did that almost 15 years. But I struggled with the culture in some corporations. I won't say this is true of all companies, but in a lot of companies, it's almost considered disloyal if you're not willing to sacrifice all of your time, or if you want to take a vacation, or if you have to call in sick, or you got to pick up your kid from daycare. That I got resistance on all of those things, and it was always a contentious point for me. So I left that job and thought, I was ready for a change. I thought, well, I've got a lot of experience now. I should be able to get another job easily. And that just wasn't the case. I was almost 50. I was going to interviews and meeting, hiring managers that were significantly younger, had less experience than me. The bald head and the gray beard would give me away when I'd walk in the door. And I called it the look. The interview was over. And I plugged away at that all summer. I applied for stuff, and some of which was really kind of like below my punching weight. I was just like desperate. I'll take whatever. And finally ended up taking a part-time restaurant job, and decided, well, okay, let's see if I can do this, get a freelance business going on the side. Thing about that is, if you don't know where to start, it doesn't magically happen. And it didn't. I think I got one gig. That one worked out. I thought it would lead to more. It didn't. And by spring of the next year, it was March 2020, and the restaurant job was gone. And I was right back where I started. Worked out okay. I did, I think, 18 months of virtual learning with my son. I was chipping away at it. But in your program, you talk a lot about resistance. And I think I could have taught a master class on that during that time, because I thought if I was perfectly ready for the perfect moment and the perfect time, I would then I could start my business. Well, it finally got to the point where my son was he was done with school. It was summer break. I wasn't getting freelance work. The restaurant job was gone. And my wife was kind of like, "Hey, so what are you working on?" I knew that I needed a business foundation, which I didn't really have any training. But I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I had that little seed already, and felt like I was going to get over my need to try and do it myself, or to figure it out myself. Like, okay, I'm going to get some help. I'm going to invest in my future finally just pulled the trigger. I said, okay, this will make me get, it'll force me to try to get my return on my investment. And it will also feel like progress. One of the biggest things for me was at the very beginning, I was a little lost, and starting the program and going through the steps um, allowed me to feel like I was moving forward. Um, in fact, so now it's, fast forward a full year later, if I'm having a slow week, I just go back because there's nothing else to find. I go back through those courses, I go back through the videos, I go back through the printed materials. And it's interesting how you can go back and catch something you missed when you have a little bit of real life experience to bounce against it. Um, that's something that I would encourage other people to do. Like, don't just do the course and then check that box and then close the window and be done with that. It's a resource that you can keep going to the well. Nikki, I do the coaching calls. Even if I don't have a question, I go to see what other people are asking because someone else might have thought of something I didn't.
Mhm. Was there anything that surprised you about the course, about the Freelance Success Framework once you got into it?
I don't know if I was surprised by the, I expected the program to be good, or because I researched it, and I read testimonials, I read what people had experienced from it. I was like, okay, no, this has got some bones to it. So I knew that it was, you get out what you put into it. But there has to be something there to begin with. And right away, I enjoyed kind of sinking my teeth into that. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna work on this today. I'm gonna work on this today, and I would sort of map out which part of the course I was going to focus on. I didn't do it all linear. I jumped around a little bit. There was some things um, before I was ready, like, I'll do quotes like ready because that's relative. Every single job I get, I don't know if I'm ready for it. But all of a sudden I'd have to do a discovery call and I'm like, I'm not there yet. What do I do for that? And I'd jump ahead and like, okay, I think I understand this. And then I'd do the call and then I'd go back and read again and try and figure out like what I could do better next time. Because you really have to believe there's a next time in all of these. This is something that surprised me, is that the further I got into it and as I started kind of building out that foundation, my confidence grew. I had confidence that I was a good designer. I've been doing it a long time. But as far as freelancer and being a business person, I didn't have a lot of confidence there. In fact, I didn't really realize how little confidence I had until some of the conversations, talking about pricing and talking about doing estimates and talking about just putting value on your work and your services. I realized that I had this penchant for underselling myself and what I was capable of. And it going back to the program made me realize that that was sort of a disservice and my clients. They need me to be my best self, as I'm not doing anybody any favors by apologetically offering services. So that was the most surprising takeaway, was that I had this reconnection between something that I had seen as just job experience and realized that no, there's a lot of life experience in there too. And then you add a little bit of business knowledge and a little bit of structure, and I actually got something valuable to share, not just sell. I don't sell at all. I offer to share what I can do. I'm totally cool with that. I suck at sales. I would not be comfortable doing sales, but I'm really like, hey, I can help with that. That's in my pocket, and it gave me the confidence to do that more.
I'm curious because that idea of I have a skill to offer and I'm confident in my skill and I'm a good graphic designer. And I know you mentioned earlier on about, oh wait, I don't have the business foundation necessarily. No one taught me to freelance. I just kind of jumped into it. And I don't think that's uncommon for freelancers. I feel like that's how I originally did, just kind of jumping in and hoping for the best. Why do you think that is? And at least for you, obviously you can only speak to your experience, but why do you think we have that? Oh, I can do this on my own. Like I've got this skill, so it's like almost, did you even consider the business side of skills? Did you even know that was lacking? Or did you know it was lacking and just still feel like, well, I can figure it out on my own?
I think it's kind of a combination. Like part of it was definitely just second guessing. Like I don't have those bullet points on my resume. So how do I know I have that knowledge? Who am I to say that I can run a business?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of it was actually external feedback, like, oh, you're gonna do that. Like, but you're still applying, right? Like, oh, if I had a dollar person that said, but you're still applying for jobs. I'm like, and then I started getting a little like passive aggressive about it, where I'd be like, actually, I'm never applying ever again. I am so done applying. I threw my resume away. I'd go over the top a little bit, and then some of them would pick up on it and be like, yeah, sorry, okay, just making sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Like um uh I still encounter that a little bit with my own family. And it's okay. I think as I have these little successes and big successes and just continuous progress, I think they're settling into the idea that this is a business. And just because it's only me doesn't make it any less of a business than an office with 5, 10, 15, 20 people. I'm really comfortable with what I'm doing right now. I found a pocket where I'm busy, I'm working, I'm also, able to go for walks and spend time with my kid and, read books. Someday, maybe actually have a guilt-free vacation. I'm working to that one. But
for a freelancer, that takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking back to when you bought the course, was there anything that made you, besides the price, because obviously investing is always is this the right thing to do? Was there anything that made you hesitant or anything that made you nervous about digging into it?
No, I guess I felt like due diligence. I felt like I had done the research, and I felt like I knew it was something I needed. And then it became a matter of choosing, because there are, like, how can this program be really, really good for hundreds of dollars when, UW-Madison has something for, like, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but it's more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Prohibitively more expensive.
Yeah.
So, all right, I threw them under the bus anyway. But yeah, you're looking at that and you're like, oh, well, am I going to get the same, education? Am I going to get the same value? And for me, I thought, well, I'm not, I haven't been a college student in a very long time. I would like to learn from someone who's been successful doing it. And for me, the program offered more relative real life experience, and was, to be blunt, on, you're doing this for a living. You need to make money. And I felt like that was a critical component. And then I think the thing that really kind of sealed the deal for me was the sense of community, because I did know that if I went this route, that I would be pretty isolated. And the thing about freelancing is, it's just you and your office and your computer, and you see your clients, but at first it's a lot of just you and your work and you and your goals. So having a network of people, like-minded people, it's fun to share successes, but also sharing doubts and fears and questions, and knowing that you're not the only one wondering about those things. That's going back to surprises. I think that's something that has been really wonderful. The summits, not just going and watching these great speakers and learning from people, but reading the questions in the comments, and then following up afterwards, and got tips and advice. And I have yet to meet anyone who is like, no, it's a secret recipe. I will not tell you how I figured out how to survive and make a living doing this. I have not one person has been even remotely like that, which is in stark contrast to what I experienced in corporate design world. Yeah. Not everybody is freelancing in the same profession. It's affirming when you look at this whole group of people that has the guts to try it. That makes me feel good just being part of that group.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think freelancers get that even if you're in the same industry, that there's so much opportunity versus I think corporate, you think, here are the positions in the company, and if I need to work my way up, I've got to like push someone else away or not give them my insider information type of thing.
Scarcity, right? Like,
yeah,
it feels a little bit more like there's only so much pie,
right?
And then all of a sudden you get into freelance, and the sky is kind of the limit, and it eliminates that myth of scarcity, and then you get to choose. You get to actually find clients that are really great fits. I'm either just crazy, stupid, lucky, or this is how it works. But I keep finding people that I love working with. And that's a surprise bonus too.
So would you ever go back to on staff? Would you ever apply again and go through all that stuff?
I think I would only do that for a spectacular payday. If I see something that looks like a brilliantly good match, I will sometimes throw my hat in the ring. So I don't like to ever say no to anything as far as possibilities. If something was just a beautiful match, I'd go for it. I like steering the boat. It would be hard to let someone else steer again, at least right now, because I'm having too much fun. I haven't been doing this long enough to know how I'll feel about it in 10 years. But right now, it feels like, for the first time in a long time, I have control. I can push a little harder if I need a little bit more. One of the things I really like is, instead of fit into a mold, I'm building it. This business gets to look exactly how I want it to look. If you have a skill set and you can provide consistently a service when called upon, then there's value to that. And then how you deliver that, how many clients you want to have, how many hours you want to, that can be adjusted according to your other life needs. And that's been huge, especially these last couple of years.
So if someone were, maybe they haven't gotten into freelancing yet, or maybe they've just gotten into freelancing, or maybe they've been trying it for a couple of years and just haven't gotten any traction, and they were looking at the Freelance Success Framework and thinking, I don't know, should I do this? What would you tell them?
So I would suggest people to really look inward and say, and try and imagine what your life could be like if you didn't have barriers caused by scarcity, like worrying about not making enough money, worrying about not having insurance, worrying about not having stability. Like a lot of people trade happiness for security. And I would just point out that a lot of times that security isn't as solid as it appears. Some of those castles are made of sand. And if you have a passion for something and think you might want to be your own boss and think you might want to start your own business, then your own stability. Um, Figure out what you need to do the research, do the training. It's called a framework for a reason, right? Because it is where you build from, and it's also what you fall back to. So if you build your own framework, then you can fall back on that, you can rely on that, and in some ways that's actually more reliable than hoping you don't get a new supervisor, a new manager, or somebody that wants to clean house and bring in their own people in the department that you thought you were going to be in forever. So look at what's really stable in your life, what maybe isn't. Look at what you really want to become and what you see your life could be versus how it is, and then think about what your barriers actually are. Are you scared? Are you nervous? Are you afraid? Which is completely understandable. That's where a lot of people start. Are you curious or are you driven? Like, do you feel like, it might be fun? Or do you feel like, I think I would like that? The analogy I use is steer the boat. Like, I wanted to have more responsibility. When I was in corporate world, I felt like my hands were tied and I couldn't do as much as I wanted to. I felt like I had more to offer than I was given the opportunity to contribute. You won't have that problem if you're freelancing. You will get to use all of your skills. You will get to use all of your abilities, and it feels as good as you think it would. Every single dollar that I've made since whatever that first week of summer break, when I signed up for the course, I have made with my own skill, my own ingenuity, my own talents, and a pretty good foundation from this training course that I signed up for.
Sure.
I'm still doing a lot of it myself, but I'm not doing all of it myself. If I get over my head, I put a question in for the coaching call. If I need an immediate answer on something, or like a more immediate answer, I go to the Facebook group. If it's not another student of the course, one of the admins will jump in. I know, early on I had questions. Kate would jump on there. Those are great because you have your own, you have a framework and a network built in. It's a great way to start rather than just winging it.
Well, we won't keep you forever, even though, I could sit and chat for hours. But I guess, well, in a nutshell, are you glad you bought the Freelance Success Framework? Are you glad you invested in it?
I'm 100% happy and glad that I signed up for the Freelance Success Framework. It has been hugely beneficial. It filled in a lot of knowledge gaps, which gave me the confidence to gain real life experience that filled in even more knowledge gaps. And a little bit over a year later, I just say I'm a freelancer. I don't think about it first and then say I'm a freelancer. I just say, no, I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I am. I don't think I had that confidence a year ago. One of the things that the program does is helps you bridge that gap between trying to start something and starting. Because once you sign up, once you actually do the work, you have started. You are a freelancer. And if you keep doing the steps, ready or not, here come the clients, and you will have work, and you will have a chance to actually do the thing that you already had the talent for, the skill. Whether you're a copywriter, a videographer, photographer, bookkeeper, like I just happened to be doing graphic design because that's what I had the most experience in. But I think that you could go and get, whatever you were passionate about or wanted to do, you could get training, and you could get, to where you could freelance at that. Not every month is a home run. I've hit some of my goals, some of them I've come close, and some of them I haven't hit yet. But I feel like it's moving forward. Like I feel like every month I feel a little bit more trust in the process. I was like, September has started off just, it was just like, oh, this is going to be the one. I was kind of waiting, like one of these months is going to come where it's just like, I know we got to wrap up, but thank you. I want to thank both of you just for giving me the opportunity and letting me ramble on about how much, I mean, I really am having, it's scary. Like sometimes it's scary right up until the end of the month. Am I going to make, my bill? But it's pretty darn fun. It's exciting. And I'm having a hoot, and it's fun being able to like share that back with both of you, because the like I don't know, like thanks for holding my hand at the beginning. Like when I was figuring out how to do this, for
Yeah.
lack of a better way of putting it, like I really appreciate that. Maybe it was obvious that confidence wasn't there and that it was going to be necessary. And so, thanks for making me redo my website 4 times. And thanks for
doing it. Good for you for doing it, for
you
taking
know
that feedback and incorporating it. Good for you.
for
Good
pushing
for
me
you
to
for taking action.
yeah. Thank you for pushing me to stay firm on pricing and on boundaries and on, like, this journey is a lot more about self-respect and confidence than I realized it was going to be. But wow, how cool, you know? So yeah, we'll see where it goes.